In a world of 350 billion movie podcasts, two chumps have decided that now is the time for cult movies to engage in combat. Disagreements will be had, blood may be spilled, and voiceover artists most definitely will not be paid. This is Cult Film Face-Off.
Hello and welcome to episode 55 of Cult Film Face-Off. My name is Chuck Roberts. With me as usual is Nick Leonard.
That'll do, pig. That'll do.
This episode is all about violent clashes in the near future with high school teachers in one corner and high school students in the other. We're talking about Mark L. Lester's two films, Class of 1984 and Class of 1999. We will start out with the former film, Class of 1984 from 1982, directed by Mark L. Lester. A mild-mannered and idealistic music teacher slowly becomes more and more determined to take down the absurdly disruptive criminal gang that's running his school. Class of 1984.
Class of 1984. Their only goal is power.
I run this school, man.
Their only law is survival.
If you want to survive around here, you have got to learn to look the other way.
Their only allegiance is to themselves.
Still believe in all that bullshit that holds it together?
I pledge allegiance!
Otherwise, you'd have done me right. Like this. Hey, look what he done, man! He tried to kill me!
Somebody's got to stop this insanity.
Well, you simply cannot afford to fail this class. Now, what is the answer? I am the future.
He's one man trained to deal with students, but they've pushed him to the limit. They've gone too far. Now he's going to give the class of 1984 the lesson they deserve. Class of 1984. Is this the future?
Okay, so Class of 1984. I'm going to assume... Have you seen this before?
No,
You'd heard of it?
I had heard of it. Yeah.
Okay, right. Okay.
Yeah, first time with it. What about you?
I heard about it quite late, yeah. I mean, it was in the aftermath of seeing Class of 99. I'd seen that, obviously, when I was a kid. I didn't realise it had essentially a prequel.
Yeah.
This was... Yeah, it was my first time seeing it.
Yeah.
I mean, how was it?
So it's Class of 1984, directed by A-rate B-movie schlockmeister Mark Lester, who brought us Commando, White Rush, Firestarter. The film starts off with the opening credits, setting the scene, showing you this fucking rough inner-city school, graffiti scrawled walls, and there's a track that's playing over it.
Oh, Alice Cooper.
Listening to this track, I was going, what?
Yeah.
I was like, this sounded to me like David Brent trying to channel David Bowie.
Yeah, right.
And I actually couldn't believe it was Alice Cooper.
Yeah, me neither. I don't know whether it was recorded for the movie, but I was absolutely shocked that it's so on the nose. The lyrics is what starts out become tonight.
Awful.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Awful.
So on the nose as well. Like this is, and actually we'll talk about.
So alarm bells are ringing for me,
Yeah,
and I'm happy to say that those alarm bells kind of stopped after that terrible track because I think this is actually a very good film.
I wouldn't go very good, but I definitely think it was way better than I was expecting. Did you notice at the beginning it says this is based on true events? I was like, are they just throwing that out there? They just say, oh, it was.
I mean, it's kind of very prescient in terms of what's happening now with schools. I mean, kind of metal detectors and violence and killing at schools is, it's rife. So I think it's quite prescient like that. But I was not expecting such. Basically, a film just pulls no punches. I thought at times it was quite shocking. I thought there were some really great performances in this film. I think the thing that holds this back from being like an amazing film for me to being a very good film is the central performance by Mr. Norris. I don't think Perry King was the right guy.
I thought he was perfect actually. I mean, because his demeanour really does change, and he's very idealistic, and he looks like he appears to be that guy.
For me, why he didn't work so much is that at times you're kind of like he's just a bit kind of. He's annoying and kind of like he's not. They had somebody lined up to play him, and I thought if that actor had played him, he would have absolutely nailed it. Now Dennis Weaver turned this down. Which is more the pity, because I think Dennis Weaver would have been perfect. I don't think that this guy really had the chops to convey the anger. He was a bit fucking...
No, I don't. But he's not that guy. That's the thing. I think.
But his reaction. He was fine when he was the music teacher, and he's going back and forth with the students and everything. But I don't believe when how horrific that was to what happens in the second, the last part of the movie with his wife getting raped. Is that his reaction was just... he didn't have the chops to pull off.
I don't think it's not drastic, his reaction, but I think it's believable because he is this kind of idealistic, very, very hopeful guy, and he is tolerant. So the fact that I didn't think him going off the rails in the end was not only it would have been unnecessary, but I think it would have been out of whack for the character. He does have a vibe of a very square sort of school teacher. I thought he was perfect, actually, to be honest. But yeah, I mean...
Yeah, for me, he wasn't great. And I thought Peter... I mean, and in contrast to that, Peter Stegman, played by Timothy Van Patten, was fucking outstanding.
He was very good.
Outstanding. Yeah. And it didn't have... And I also thought that Roddy McDowall was fantastic as well. And those two were so good that... Mr. Norris was just kind of paling up against those two performances. You needed a trio of amazing performances, and there was only two on screen for me.
I felt that. I thought that everyone was great in this, pretty much.
So yeah, Timothy Van Patten is as great as the sadistic Peter Stegman. I mean, what a great character! What an awful character! An absolute musical genius, but an absolute delinquent. Yeah. And his gang were great. The gang were great. The locations were great. It was all proper dilapidated buildings, and all of it was shot on location, apart from the auto shop sequence, which is the location for the final fight. Yeah. So it looks great. What did you think of? Like
I said, I liked the film. I think it was much better than I was expecting. I don't think it's a great movie. I mean, it's just a sort of down the line exploitation movie. I wasn't expecting it to be, because I know it's.
But I think not many films. Exploitation movies are not as hard hitting as this. When the violence is done, when the guy climbs up that flagpole and he falls down off that flagpole, when the guy's getting his arm buzzed off, I was just like, fuck. And the rape sequence, I was like, shit, this is really fucking hard hitting.
I think that's where they actually took a turn in the negative. But I wasn't expecting it to be Blackball Jungle. All of these films, all films where a teacher squares off against the teachers,
Dangerous Minds,
they all owe a debt to Blackball Jungle, and there's not a lot of deviation until the film goes apeshit in the final third. But there's even the main antagonist being a prodigious musician. That's like kind of a nod to the Sidney Poitier character in Blackball Jungle. So it's pretty straight down the line until the end. When the kill on the buzzsaw. I mean, that is a really like whoa when he cuts his arm. I mean, that's really. I mean, that's.
I was just like, fuck. You're putting. This is full on grindhouse exploitation. I was like, shit. I was not expecting that.
Yeah.
Also, the sequence when they walk into the classroom and all of the animals have been absolutely like fucking. Yeah. Apparently that was all real. Apparently that room stunk because it was real animal corpses that were used, and they were so repelled the cast. That's why you get a lot of that reaction. Yeah. But I was not expecting to be so impactful actually at times. It's interesting that Mark Lester cites Clockwork Orange being a huge influence, and you can see that pretty clearly. I mean, extremely overtly in the scene where Peter Stegman's gang break into Mr. Norris's house. And they rape his wife, but he comes in, singing, whistling. It's so. Inspired is it's completely lifted from Clockwork Orange.
Yeah, I mean, but I thought the rape scene was far too much because the bad guys are basically petty criminals, more or less. I mean, I think they're drug dealers.
But it's so over the top. I mean, they're meant to be school kids. Yeah, they're meant to be in high school.
Exactly, but
they're quite prolific in terms of their delinquency. Like next level.
They're fucking. But a gang rape. I was just like, there's no reason for this other than to push the main character over the edge, and I was like that. I just didn't need that. This isn't a Death Wish movie. I mean, that's what all of the Death Wish films are about. Yeah. I'm fine. Someone's been raped. Now I'm going to kill everybody, and that's what happens. Like his wife's raped, and there's no catharsis. At the end, he walks away and he's killed all of them. He's now a murderer, and his wife has been brutally gang raped. Yeah. I was like,
but it's an exploitation film.
Yeah, I understand, but it felt kind of hollow. It seemed like it was going to be a bit smarter and sharper than that. I mean, at the beginning. There is a scene where I thought this is really fucking silly, where they're basically holding tryouts for all the people to join their gang, and a young girl comes in and they make her strip.
Yeah.
And then she basically is sort of pushed off to go and have sex with one of the gang. And then it cuts to somebody injecting heroin. I was like, I'm waiting for the next scene where they all get in a car and try and run kids over like in a trauma film, because that scene is so over the top ridiculously like, look how bad these fucking cunts are.
Yeah, but I don't think that's I don't think that is a detriment to the film. I just think it is a really hard-hitting exploitation film. But I think it elevates itself from being those trauma films because you've got some genuinely great acting. The only thing that actually took me out of it that I really didn't get on with is the baby speak. You know, let's have a chatty wet, already farty. Like all of that baby speak is just butters, because that really doesn't age the film very well at all. I mean, there's just tons of scenes that I was thinking about long after the film ended. I mean, the Stegman bathroom self-harm sequence is done really well. Yeah. I just thought it was a really well executed, really great film. Actually, I just was not expecting it to be as good as it was.
It's way better than I was expecting as well. And
a prepubescent Michael Fox, before he was Michael J. Fox. Guess how old he was in this film?
I think isn't it 20?
Yes.
Yeah, but he's such a pipsqueak.
I mean,
he's like
20.
Yeah, he does look like he's about 3 even.
He looks like a fetus.
Yeah, he does. I was surprised also by how good this film was in comparison to what I was expecting, but I just thought it was a little bit. It just went a bit further than I really wanted it to, because I don't think it, you know.
I like that about it. I like the fact that I was like, fuck, you're going there? You're suddenly going into this territory. I was like, well, actually, fucking, I'm embracing it. Fucking fair play, Mark Lester. You know, he's a Schlockmeister, and he pulled all the stops out. I
just felt like a gang of petty criminals who were just antagonising everybody. Suddenly, the gang rape and the photograph. I appreciate.
Any problem with it.
I don't know why. I just thought it was. It seemed like a step too far to me, but you know, that's the movie they made. So, I did think it was legitimately good. I liked the lead.
Do you know that he didn't really go on to do much acting, but he's a really prolific TV director. He's directed The Sopranos, Boardwalk Empire, and most recently Black Mirror.
I saw his name pop up and I was like, oh.
He just kind of really deviated from acting, which is a pity, really, and he's become a very prolific TV director.
I've seen his name since I was a kid, watching The Sopranos, because he's like all of the HBO shows, Deadwood, all of them. Yeah. Game of Thrones.
Is there anything in terms of, have you got any lookalikes? Have you got anything to, when we're doing the video, that we should focus on?
No, I don't think so. No, nothing at all. Go on then. Go on.
So, my mate is really, to pinpoint it,
okay.
54 minutes, 34 seconds,
right.
Creepy tuba lover. That's what I'll say.
Creepy tuba lover.
Yeah, creepy tuba lover.
Okay.
There's somebody playing the tuba.
Right.
And there's somebody really enjoying that.
Okay.
Too much.
I look forward.
And if you can make that into a 2-second, 3-second GIF, you'll make my year.
Okay. All right.
It's really. I mean, this guy just creepy tuba lover.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
I've got a fun fact for this film. It's the same police station that was used in Black Christmas.
Did you know? I mean, I was amazed to find out this film was banned for ages in England. They cut 4 minutes out in the UK version initially on the cinema release, and they wouldn't grant it a video release. It came out for the first time in the UK in 2005.
Right.
That's probably why I hadn't heard of it. What 4 minutes did they cut out? It must have been the audition where they make the girl strip and then they send her off, and the rape scene, I should imagine.
Yeah.
That's the kind of stuff that really the BBFC really cuts out.
Back up, yeah. I mean, I didn't know anything about this movie. I'd heard about it because of Class of 1999, but I'd never seen it in video shops or.
No, it had, but in 2005.
But it never had a release.
No, until 2005. Yeah, they didn't grant it a video release. It was effectively a video nasty, but.
Yeah, but it doesn't get mentioned though.
No, it doesn't. That's why. But that's when I found out about it. I was like, "How has this film gone under my radar for this long?" But yeah, completely weird one.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a good film. Okay, well, let's move on then, shall we, to Class of 1999? Mm-hmm. From 1990, directed by Mark L. Lester again. When a trio of covert military droids posing as school teachers start to malfunction and murder their students, it's up to a reformed tough guy and the principal's rebellious daughter to unite two rival gangs in a fight against the faculty. Class of 1999.
In 1998, 6 million violent incidents took place in American high schools, including 29,927 teacher fatalities. The public school system has been reduced to a battlefield. But the Board of Education has just found a solution. The perfect solution.
You're next, Mr. Cope.
For the class of 1999.
What are you?
The class of 1999.
These androids were supposed to educate the students.
Battle droids, Miles. Battle droids.
To graduate is to survive.
Okay, so class of 1999. I assume you've seen this before?
No.
What?
No.
Really?
Never seen it.
No way.
Never seen it, and it's one of those movies, it's one of those titles that I've seen in countless blockbusters and like spa shops when they were doing video rental and like George Dawes' video shop, which I always mention on the podcast. I've seen it, the poster everywhere and the front cover everywhere, but I've never seen it.
It's the most. I think it was the most expertly marketed film of my youth because
it was everywhere.
the image, which is the UK video cover, is the half head of the droid at the end. You know, the gym teacher.
Who looks nothing like the gym teacher.
I thought it did.
They draw it.
A point.
No! Are you telling me you felt that Exoskeleton Android looked anything like that Patrick Kilpatrick?
At points,
you did not have your contact lenses in.
At points, I did think. Wow,
when you had paused it and had to go to the toilet, it looked like him. What? It didn't look like him at all.
I thought it looked like him enough. I thought it was fine, but
it had black hair.
But that was the
it had black hair.
That was the marketing. Was that image, and then on the I can't remember what the exact phrasing was, but it said like RoboCop, better than Terminator, you know, and then it said from the director of Commando. So that Stan Lee was in my local video shop for years. I was like, and I remember going there. What felt like every day and saying, "Can I rent Class of '99?" Because I was mates with the guy who works here. He let me to rent anything. He's like, "Oh no, it's like reserved. That's when you can reserve videos." Oh, it's reserved until like a week Sunday, and then you come back and like, "Oh no, it's reserved." It was reserved and reserved. So that is the. I mean, that video must have made fuckloads of money.
So when did you watch it?
I eventually got hold of it, so I saw it when I was 9, 10.
Okay, and have you seen it since you were 9 or 10?
No, it's the first time since I've seen it.
So,
but more importantly, what happened? I mean, watching it for the first time, how did it go down?
Okay, so I loved how this film just cut straight to the chase.
Yeah, no bullshit.
In the opening sequence, I was just like, "Fuck!"
Yeah.
I was like, "Wow." Yeah. I mean, this. You know, we're in it. We're in there. We're with Stacey Keach, and Stacey Keach. He is the standout in this movie for me. He is so good in this movie.
Right.
He's so good. His performance is so good, but his look. I mean, he looks like he's sporting an albino ferret pelt on his head, with contact lenses from a goat. I mean, welcome to the future. His performance is fantastic. I love that opening sequence. I love the introduction of the robots. I love the fact that it's like Pamela Greer, Mac McDowell's there. You know, great cast. So I was like, okay, I'm pumped for this. This film is okay. It's okay. There are things that work well, and there are things that didn't work so well. Greg, who is the lead kid, I mean, is totally unconvincing as a petulant badass.
Cody, you mean the main guy?
Cody,
Bradley
who's
Gregg.
played by
Bradley Gregg.
Bradley Gregg, yeah. Bradley Gregg, who's Cody. He's not great. He is really not great. And the principal's daughter is more wooden than a treehouse full of
You reckon?
full of chairs. Oh, she's terrible.
Is she?
She's obviously a model. She's come from a modelling background. She's very good looking, but she is more wooden than a treehouse full of chairs.
Bradley Gregg doesn't set the world on fire, but I thought she was.
Oh,
she was okay.
So bad, man. She was bad. She was bad. Yeah, this made me laugh as well. There was a sequence that it's one of the biggest laughs since doing this podcast. It's probably one of the biggest belly laughs I've had of any film that we've done, and that's when the cyborg teacher, who's obviously he's like the old school disciplinarian with the pipe. He's at his PO the POV HUD gives him various options, and it's like verbal command, punish, and then corporal punish, and he just grabs his kid and just starts spanking him. I was fucking on the floor. Crazy.
Yeah, it is amusing. I mean, when it started out, and it has that complete rip-off, the John Carpenter, the way that John Carpenter starts, you know, I was like, this is going to be so great. I'm looking forward to this so much. The first gunfight that happens when they're in a car and they upset someone says, "See you at school, arseholes," and then there's a fight, gunfire, explosions, people throwing grenades. I'm like, what's going on?
Yeah.
what the fuck's happening? Yeah, so it's far dumber than I remember. It's also much cheaper than I remember. I remember feeling as a kid that this was a really expensive, like, big budget. Obviously, it's not. One thing I do remember, I loved this film when I was a kid, but I do remember thinking it's way too violent. I remember thinking that there was just. The scene where the Cody's brother he has those drugs forced down his neck.
Yeah. Oh, there's some very like harsh sequences.
Yeah,
so the beating he gets as well from the wrestling, from the PE teacher android is just excessively nasty.
It's nasty,
and also Malcolm McDowell getting
the finger holes
into it, but it looks great.
Yeah,
there's a great bit of gore.
Yeah.
Comparing the class of 1984 to 99, it's got a far bigger budget, far bigger fanfare, but it's way flabbier. Gratuitous car chases and shootouts just had me tuning out.
Yeah, to be honest, the centrepiece action scene in the junkyard by the water, that's one of the most boring.
Yeah, I was just like,
that's bad.
Get on with it.
It's like watching people play paintball for like 20 minutes. It's fucking boring. But aside from that, I really do think that there is little sparks throughout, like when Cody's mate gets pulled through the wall and folded in half, and then the finger holes bit. So there's little sparks, but the finale I think is really, really good. And when you consider that it's one of those scenes that takes place in a big area, a big dark school where you don't.
Are you talking about when like Pamela Greer, when they're basically all their kind of limbs are melting to their weapons coming out?
So it's not the big finale, but normally in scenes like that you're forced to know where everybody is, and here it doesn't matter because it's just confrontations with the bad guys. And there's really decent animatronics in those bits, I think.
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the last 20 minutes a lot because it was, as we just said, you tune out to the gratuitous shootouts and pretty banal car chases, bike chases. It's all very fucking dull.
Yeah.
But it definitely delivers in the last 20 minutes.
Yeah, because it's just confrontations with the bad guys.
And you get it. You get them, and they get their just desserts in quite satisfying ways.
And it's despite being set in somewhere that looks like it could be a maze, it's coherent enough. And I think there's a great one-liner when your boy, the old disciplinarian. White hair. He has one of his arms turns into a drill bit, and he says, "I love to mould young minds." I was like, "That's a wicked one-liner."
I mean, this film takes itself a wee bit too seriously at times, with rabble-raising speeches from Cody. There's a lot of those kind of things going on.
Yeah. I thought it was interesting that the complete shift in perspective, because you're on the kids' side from the beginning. The delinquent children, they're your heroes, essentially. So it was nice that they actually felt the need to go in a completely different direction rather than... Well, I suppose you couldn't really... It would be a very weird film if it took the side of the android killers.
Well, and there's like the bonding between Cody and the other guy who's running the gangs. I can't remember.
And they're best.
And they're like, it's so cheesy derivative. Didn't need that.
I like the film. I like movies like this when they're completely unapologetic, and that's something that really. I took a shine to it because it really just nobody could ever question what it's doing. It knows what it's doing. This is the kind of film that it is, and if you don't like it,
and Stacey Keach is great.
He is.
Every single scene with Stacey Keach in is fire.
Did you have anything that you noticed that was? I mean, I'll just tell you. I noticed something really unusual, and I couldn't put my finger on what was going on. Midway through the movie, Cody walks into his family home, which, as far as we're aware, is inhabited by him, his two brothers, and his mother. They're all drug addicts.
Yeah.
You hear what sounds like video game audio, and then Cody glances to the left and then glances away like he's glanced at something, and you see two old ladies in their family home just sitting in the corner of the room, and I'm like, is that crew accidentally captured? Is that supposed to be part of a sub... What's the
it was a bit odd.
Yeah, really weird.
Yeah. So many floral colours.
So many floral colours?
Floral colours.
Yeah. All that weird cover they're wearing.
So many floral colours, like bright greens and bright pinks, and Delinquents of the Future would never dress like that.
Well, they would have done if it was in the 90s. I mean, I suppose technically the 80s, but it's an 80s movie, isn't it? Because it came out in 90.
Well, it came 90s, it's 10 into the 80s.
Yes, basically, absolutely 10 into the 80s.
So much fluoro on show.
Apparently this had I think they had to submit it 10 times, I read, before the MPAA would give it an R rating instead of an X. I'm like, I can understand that, but normally the American ratings don't give a shit about violence, it's all about sex, so I mean, I wonder what...
Rolled them.
Or what was cut, because I assume what we're still seeing is that original cut version, although, who knows. So I mean, I liked it. I like the fact that it just doesn't give a fuck what anyone thinks about it, and it's just concerned with being a straight down the line B movie.
Well, the thing is though, at times it is a straight up B movie. At other times it takes itself way too seriously, and that's when it falls down for me. That's when I think it was to its detriment. When it was just being balls out. The last 20 minutes was done extremely well.
Yeah.
Anything with, McDowell was really good in it as well. McDowell's really good. Obviously, like Lester, who's such an obvious fan of Clockwork Orange, he must have been fucking like fist pumping the air to have Michael McDowell in the film.
Yeah.
When it's at its pulpy and its B movie best, when it's kind of using the HUDs, that I really like the whole HUD thing was really funny.
Yeah, right.
Do I verbal take it to the principal's office? Verbal or physical retribution? I mean, all of that shit. The HUD stuff had me cracking up the whole time.
Yeah.
So it was a kind of there were some great things, there were some not so good things for me. Which way are you going in terms of a Victor? For
Before we choose, let's go. We've had some correspondence on Facebook and Twitter. So if you ever want to get in touch before we record an episode, give us a shout. But I've got an email here from Phil McCulloch who emailed us to say, guys, I remember seeing Class of 1999 when I was about 11 years old. I absolutely loved the rubbish costumes and the idea that 14-year-olds had the run of the town. The things that stuck out to me at the time was that Cody Culp, Philip from Nightmare on Elm Street,
Dream Warriors.
Yeah, that's right. Got let out of jail, and the first thing he did was go to school. I mean, really, that's a decent point.
Go and live it up. I'm going to get some hookers. I'm going to get some weed.
The introduction of my long-term movie crush, Tracy Lind, was also a highlight.
Yeah, she's a highlight to look at. She's a fucking lowlight in terms of her acting.
Have you heard about it? Like, she just up sticks and left Hollywood. Like,
well, no surprise, because she can't act.
Well, I think she's not that bad.
She is terrible. She is terrible. She stinks out the screen like a fucking 15-year-old Gorgonzola.
Okay, and also highlight. And what made me laugh is that the Culpster stopped her from being gang raped by her father, headmaster, and still he gave Cody a hard time for beating people like that. That was a weird thing. The whole cast is brilliant. Pam Grier, Patrick Kilpatrick. Whatever doesn't kill Patrick only makes Patrick stronger.
I like that.
And John P. Ryan, probably one of the greatest movie bad guys ever, aside from Billy Drago. The ridiculous drug they took, the daft gangs they were in, and the abilities that the Killbots had, dispatching students in various ways, almost as if they couldn't be bothered to set them extra homework. The way these three robo teachers turned the stupid gangs with each other was borderline genius, culminating in a great showdown between the Terminators. Nice. And the few remaining students. Watching it as a child, it gave me a sense of escapism, but looking at it now, gangs outside of schools, metal detectors going into schools, gangs influencing what happens in the schools, it's almost too real. Anyway, I hope you look at reviewing Class of 99, The Substitute at some point. Best wishes, Philip. Thanks very much for sending
this. Really appreciate it. That was a wicked correspondence.
Yeah, no doubt. Have you seen The Substitute, Class of 99 too?
No.
Okay, I saw it back when I was a kid. I didn't like it when I was a kid.
Right.
So, I mean, that means it's either actually legitimately good or it's even worse than I thought it was when I was a kid. So maybe we'll check that out at some point. Maybe sequels.
Yeah.
Sequels, so...
Okay, I've got a few of these as well. So Hallie Stephenson got in contact on Facebook about this pairing. Class of 99 is cheesy fun. Class of 94 is also just okay.
84.
Paul Sutton got in contact with us on Facebook. Saw Class of 99 a few years ago and really enjoyed it. Rewatched it today and it was just as good. Totally ridiculous but entertaining. Haven't seen Class of 1984 before today, and it's not really what I was expecting, having seen 1999 first. Not as enjoyable in the same sense, but still very gripping film. I would say 1984 is the better film, but 1999 is the one I'd definitely watch again.
I may agree exactly with the sentiment there. Maybe. We'll see.
Okay. Thank you for getting in contact.
Yeah, indeed.
I think it's got a good point. I mean, rewatch kind of schlock value, but then you've got to wade through a lot of crap with 99. 1984 was a much leaner film, but it was a much more. It's much more throwaway and fun. 99. 1984 was more hard hitting.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I'd watch. You're gonna go to a film that's a bit more lighter in heart than one that's heavy in heart. So I can subscribe. I can say to that as well.
99 I have for fondness for because I saw it when I was a kid. So there is this the mild nostalgia factor. There is I mean, the big centrepiece action scene is dreadful, whereas the finale is fantastic, I think. And I do like it. I really love movies that are just completely unapologetic. This is what it is, and that's that.
Yeah.
Cast of 1984 was a way better film than I was expecting, but the rape, I was just like, there's just it seems so extreme in comparison to what came before it. But I do concede. I think if we're having to pick a winner, I have to pick the film that's the better film, and I think that is Class of 1984. Although Class of 99. It's highly enjoyable. I thought, as much as there is wrong with it.
I think as well. 1984 is the better film. It's the better made film. 99 is a lot of fun. I haven't got the nostalgic factor there with it because I watched it for the first time. But yeah, 1984 is the better film.
Yeah,
so
I think so too.
It's a win for 1984. Right. Well, that wraps up an episode.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for tuning in, and thank you so much for all the correspondence.
Yes,
Please
indeed.
keep them coming in. You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and all of the episodes are being cut and are available on our YouTube channel. And iTunes reviews help the cause massively.
Yeah, cheers.
But thanks for tuning in.
Take it easy. See you later.
Shabless.
Cult film Face Off.